about, the self-defeatist mentality that we have. And like I said, when I was going on the Sumud convoy, a lot of friends, family, and others were telling us that, you're not going nowhere. There's a great risk of, not even making it through Libya. If you do in Egypt, you will always keep failing and failing and failing. And that's the narrative that we keep telling ourselves because that is what we're used to. But we just have to keep trying. I think the beauty of, for me, from my perspective, from the Sumud convoy, one of the objectives it has achieved, even though it hasn't reached the Rafah border, is that it allowed the people to kind of take things into their own hands. We no longer rely on governments, institutions. I used to work with the UN. No international organizations, no institution, no leaders, no religious leaders who tell us, just they don't push us into action. And it has united people from all sorts, whether it's Muslims, whether it's non-Muslims. That it's united everyone into action. I feel like we're the generation of action. We're no longer into talking and how do we do this and okay, let's talk about ideas and planning. We're just into action. And the organizers, and I have to thank them from Sumud Convoy, despite all the challenges they've had, they've always kept going. Like the organizers from Libya, they kept telling them this will not happen. There's this issue, but they always kept pushing and pushing and pushing. Even when we got to Sirte and the crossing of Sirte, and we were besieged ourselves for 2 days, we were always resilient. We said, okay, we're not taking a step back. We're going to camp right here in the middle of the desert. Even when they threatened us with live shooting, we always stayed steadfast in front of dangers, because whatever we go through, whatever sacrifice, whatever the risks and dangers we face is nothing compared to what people in Gaza are going through. And it's our duty to just keep trying. We have to keep trying. And, like even one of the objectives that it has reached is that it's united, part of the Ummah, which is the North African Ummah, or specifically Algeria, Libya, and Tunisia, because we always used to be, separated. Even though we feel like we're one people, we were divided by lines. And that was the first time we felt that we are one. And for me, and I may have mentioned this, I don't know, but we felt like we are one ummah. And I think that another objective that we achieved is that we broke the fear in our minds that we cannot do anything, because we're all capable of pushing change. It's a question of responsibility, and we're all capable of doing something. There's from people, the Sumud convoy who donated supplies. There's people who customized entire trucks with solar panels and chargers and gave it to us for free. There's a lot of people who gave things for free and they said, please just take it to Gaza. There's an elderly man who gave his straw hat to one of the organizers and he told them, please take this to Gaza. And I think that besides breaking that fear, the Sumud convoy, it instilled belief that Palestine, which regardless that we're all in the MENA region, still feels far away in our minds prior to the Sumud convoy. Whereas after the Sumud convoy, now everyone in Algeria, Tunisia, Libya feels that, oh, I could just start my car and go to Gaza. And that was a whole new, different dynamic and reconfiguration of the brain, and empowers us to feel that we are actually capable. As to your questions, in the flotilla, obviously there are great risks that are in front of us. But also there's a lot of great work, as Nadir said, a lot of great work behind it to ensure the safety of the flotilla. And obviously we can't go through all of it, but there's been a lot of training that's been done to the participants when it comes to non-violence training, so that when we're intercepted, we don't risk any lethal casualties or any unfortunate lethal consequences. There's a lot of legal training that we're going through. There's a lot of sailing training that we go through. There's a lot of things that are prepared beforehand, even in the safety of the boats, the equipments, the sailing path that we're taking. So there's a lot of things that we're doing behind the scenes to ensure that this flotilla is safe. But even if we don't achieve full 100% safety measures, and because when you're facing the Zionist entity, you can never reach 100%. There's always the risk and dangers. You still have to go through it and attempt to break the siege, and we always have to keep going. And I think one of the best things about Sumud Convoy and the other initiatives is that it's given these normal, everyday people, doctors, teachers, lawyers, journalists, to come together and organize on their own. Even the funding that we take from Global Sumud Flotilla doesn't come from associations, organizations, government. It's most of it comes from the people. The people are the ones who are funding it. The people are the ones who are working on it. The people are the ones who are organizing it. Nothing has been done at this scale, at least from what I know, from civilian population. And I think it's a great exercise that we have done, and we will keep doing this in other future initiatives. Obviously, if we made it this time and we broke the siege of Gaza and established humanitarian corridor, there will still be other initiatives. And if we don't make it, there will still be another initiative. The Zionist entity needs to know we're gonna come no matter what. You'll stop us this time, or the next time we'll try again, and inshallah we won't stop until we reach our goal.
And Ashraf, you mentioned there, but one of the aims is to create a permanent humanitarian corridor. How will that be achieved? Explain the rationale behind that.
So, as we know, the siege, we can break the siege from two sides, really. You can either is from the land crossings or from the sea. The land crossing, obviously, as we know from previous experience from our land convoy and from the global movement, the Gaza's attempt, it's much tougher because it's controlled through the Egyptian borders, right? When we come to the sea, Israel, no matter what they say, they are really against international law. So the Zionist entity through the sea, what they're doing is an illegal blockade, and they have no legitimate international law backing their actions. And so our goal here is to establish a humanitarian corridor from the sea, which is through international waters, and then the shores of Gaza. And we're hoping that if we establish a humanitarian corridor, then aid can come from everywhere in the world directly to Gaza. And that's kind of the idea behind it. I'm not sure if Nadir